Every aftermarket e-commerce brand has one of these days. The day the revenue dips off the cliff. Not your whole business collapsing, not sell everything and move to Florida dramatic. Just that moment when the channel that's supposed to bring in the highest intent buyers, which is usually shopping or PMax, just goes flat. 1 minute, shopping and PMax are humming. Cars are filling, search terms are clean, everything feels dialed in. The next minute, impressions, 0. Spend, 0. New customers, 0. And the crazy part, everything else still works. Your search ads are still showing, Meta is still spending, SEO traffic is still coming in, repeat buyers are still buying. But your highest intent traffic source, the one where people type in exactly what they want, just evaporates. And suddenly your Slack channel turns into a group therapy session. When this happens, 9 out of 10 marketers assume Google changed the algorithm, or PMax got worse, or competition spiked, budget wasn't enough, or something broke in the ad account. But when you peel back, you find something much simpler and way more annoying. It wasn't the marketing problem. It wasn't even a campaign problem. The issue was upstream. Your product data. The information Google uses to understand your catalog broke. So not your ads, not your targeting, not your bidding. Your data pipeline broke. And when the pipeline breaks, Google stops believing what you tell it. So to understand what really happened that day and why this happens so often in the auto parts world, we need to zoom out and look at something most e-commerce teams never think about: the invisible data pipeline powering the entire aftermarket. The same one your products rely on, the same one your competitors share, and the same one Google evaluates every time someone searches for the part you sell. So let's talk about something that controls a massive chunk of your revenue and that almost nobody inside an aftermarket company actually thinks about: the invisible data pipeline that powers the entire automotive internet. Not your ads, not your budgets, not your creative, the data behind your products. Here's the part that surprises even the most seasoned e-commerce operators. Every single ad that you see, whether it's a wheel or turbo kit or cold air intake, starts with structured data. Not creative, not budget, not with some PMax hack, with data. And I'm talking about the basics: your titles, your GTINs, your fitment, your attributes, your images, your descriptions, your availability, and your pricing. And that's the fuel Google uses to decide which searches you appear for, how often you show, what you pay per click, and whether your ads qualify to show in the first place. And here's the part that nobody tells you. Google isn't judging your brand, it's judging how clearly you describe your products to a machine. Now, when marketers say product feed, most people think of dusty CSV uploading at midnight like it's 2012. But in 2025, your feed is just likely to be a real-time Shopify to Google sync, or PIM pushing data straight to your merchant center, or a real-time API stream, or a distributor integration, or a third-party feed app that never sleeps. So don't think of it as a file. Think of it as a pipeline that's constantly running a stream of product information that tells Google what you sell. If what flows through that pipeline is clean and structured, Google gives you visibility. If it's messy or inconsistent, Google quietly dials you back, not out of spite, but because it doesn't trust the input. Now, if you have ever had this frustrating "why did my shopping tank" week, this is where the story usually starts. Here's a quick reality check, something most people in this industry ignore. Once the supplier publishes its product data, every reseller publishes that same exact data. Same title, same description, same attributes, same images. We're going to go much deeper on this later because the ripple effects are huge. But for now, just keep this one sentence in your head. The entire aftermarket runs on duplicated product data, and Google sees all of it. So if you take nothing else away from this moment, take this. Your visibility online isn't based on your warehouse, it's based on your data. Full stop. Google doesn't know your brand story. It doesn't know your margins. It doesn't know you're passionate about Mustangs or Jeeps. It doesn't know you negotiate with a supplier for 8 months. Google only knows what you tell it and how clearly you tell it through your product data pipeline. And that's the hidden engine of the e-commerce world. But knowing this pipeline exists is just a start. To really understand why product revenue dips off a cliff and why small data mistakes turn into big performance problems, we need to break down the whole system down and follow how product data actually moves. From suppliers to distributors to your store to your feed to Merchant Center to Google Ads and finally to the customer. All right, let's open up the hood and see how the product data actually moves through the aftermarket. Because if you're a reseller, and most of you watching are, your data doesn't start in your warehouse. It starts upstream at the manufacturer or distributor and then trickles down to you through whatever pipeline they built. And that one upstream decision, how they publish data, determines how hard your life is. So let's walk through a real pipeline. Pipe 1, supplier data, where your catalog really begins. This is the raw material you inherit. Your catalog journey begins with whatever supplier sends you, and depending on who you're working with, the data arrives in one of 3 flavors. 1. Clean and structured data. Think of it a filet mignon of catalog data. You're working with brands using real PIMs, PDM Automotive, SEMA data, or their own PIM with ACs and PIs setup. And you get organized attributes, valid GTIN and MPN, clean fitment, full descriptions, consistent units, proper media assets. This is the good life. This is thank you for making my job easier data. Number 2, good but not perfect distributor data. Solid but not spectacular. Then you've got the big distributors like Turn 14, Meyer, Keystone, and others. Pulling your catalog from them puts you ahead of half of the market. You usually get API-driven stock and pricing, standardized attributes, fitment that's mostly correct, descriptions that won't embarrass you. It's good data. You can build a business on it. But let's be real, it's not perfect. Distributors don't create the information, they inherit it from manufacturers. They format it, clean it a bit, and pass it along. They don't enrich it, they don't improve it, and they definitely don't optimize it for Google Shopping. So the data ends up being functional, clear enough to load, accurate enough to avoid disasters, but not competitive enough to beat other retailers selling exact same catalog. So it's good, but not amazing, but totally workable if you know how to enhance it. 3, the everybody else bucket, the data equivalent of a garage sale. If you're working with smaller suppliers, niche brands, or older manufacturers, you are getting a giant Excel sheets with 140 columns, CSVs with unlabeled fields, Google Drive folders full of random images, half-baked fitment, and yes, PDF catalogs that look like they were scanned during the Bush administration. This is your raw material. You don't get to choose it, and it determines everything downstream, which leads us to pipe 2, import product data to your store. Once you inherit supplier data, you have to get it to your e-commerce platform. Shopify, BigCommerce, or Magento, whatever you're on, the process usually involves API connections, distributor plugins, apps like Data Here to There, Shopify import tools, custom scripts, manual CSVs, or typing directly into Shopify like it's 2009, which, if we're honest, I've done it more times than I would like to admit. Here's the part that matters. It doesn't matter how data gets in. Google only sees the final version inside your store. If the supplier gave you junk, your store shows junk, your feed exports to junk, and your shopping performance tanks. And this is the most predictable cause and effect in e-commerce, which leads us to pipe 3, the product feed, or data pipeline. File or API, Google doesn't care. Quality does. This is where people get confused. We already talked earlier on how the feed is really a pipeline, not a file. And this is part of the pipeline that sends your store's final product data to Merchant Center. Is the data clean and structured and enriched? Google rewards you with visibility. If the data is inconsistent, incomplete, or unclear, Google doesn't ban you. It simply dials you down to protect the shoppers. Quietly, silently, in the background. This is where most brands get blindsided. Pipe 4, Merchant Center, the gatekeeper. This is where Google checks your homework. Merchant Center verifies the essentials: G10 accuracy, price matching, image quality, link integrity, availability, consistency, policy compliance, the usual checks. And if something serious breaks, Google won't shut down your business, but it will disapprove the items, limit their visibility, flag warnings, and quietly reduce the impression share. This is a real revenue dipped off the cliff moment, not because you stopped advertising, but because Google stopped trusting your data. Your feed becomes your targeting. Once Merchant Center approves your data, Google takes over. Google looks at your product's title, brand, attributes, G10, category, image, price, availability, fitment, and these become your targeting, your bidding signals, your search matching, your shopping ad copy, PMax logic. Google doesn't understand your business, it understands your data. And that's why feed quality is everything. Quick thing, if this has been helpful so far, hit like, subscribe, and drop your questions in the comments. This series is for operators, not gurus. Your questions are what shape the next episodes. Okay, now that you understand the real plumbing, let's make it real. In the next section, we're going to follow one SKU, a real Carroll Shelby CS11 wheel, through the entire pipeline all the way to a Google shopping ad. And when you see that journey, you'll understand exactly how feed issues turn into revenue loss. All right, enough theory, let's get practical. Let's follow one real product through the entire pipeline, from supplier load sheet to Google shopping ad. And the SKU we're using is a perfect example. Carroll Shelby CS11, gloss black 20 by 9.5, 40mm offset. One wheel and a lot of data moving behind it. So let's walk it. Step 1, supplier creates the product data. This is where the story truly begins. Before this wheel ever reaches your store, the manufacturer creates its master record. On screen, you'll see the actual data export, such as G10, size, bolt pattern, etc., and AC's fitment for all 2005 to 2024 Mustangs, plus the supporting pieces, the marketing copy, warranty info, and media assets. If the supplier is solid, and Carroll Shelby Wheels is, they manage all of this inside a real PIM-like PDM, so the export is clean, structured, or predictable. And here's the kicker. This is the same data 80% of resellers publish exactly as is. No enhancements, no optimization, just copy, paste, and pray. Step 2, the data flows downstream. Like we covered early, the data flows downstream. Sometimes through distributors like Turn14 or Meyer, sometimes straight to you through an API, a load sheet, or a zip file someone pulled from a shared drive that hasn't been cleaned since 2016. The important part, you're not improving the data here, you are inheriting it. A frozen moment of supplier's catalog. Whether it's good, mediocre, or PDF from the Bush administration bad, this is your raw material. Which brings us to step 3, import to your store. Now, you pull that data into your store, maybe through a PIM sync, maybe through a distributor API, maybe through an app-like data feed here to there, maybe through a 12-tab Excel spreadsheet with 500 columns that make you question your career choices. Whatever methods you are, this is the version of truth Google will eventually see. If the supplier data was clean, great. If it wasn't, well, congrats, now your data is messy. Now, Google can only work with what lands here. Step 4, your store exports a product feed. Next, your e-commerce platform pushes the wheel data into Merchant Center. File or API, doesn't matter. We already established that a feed is a data pipeline. Now, what flows through this includes your title, description, price, availability, G10 or MPN, images, fitment attributes, brand. Your feed is a storytelling for machines. And this is the story your CS11 is telling to Google. Now, let's get to step 5, Merchant Center. Merchant Center checks the essentials. Does your price match the site? Is the G10 valid? Are the images clean and large enough? Is availability consistent? Is the wheel categorized correctly? If something is off, Google doesn't shut down your business, but it will disapprove the item, reduce visibility, add warnings, or limit impressions. This is where revenue dipped off the cliff moment starts, not because your marketing failed, but because Google stopped trusting your data. This leads us to step 6. Google Ads turns that data into targeting. This is where the wheel meets the algorithm. Once the Merchant Center approves the wheel, Then, only then, it becomes eligible for shopping, performance max, dynamic remarketing, or YouTube placements inside PMax. When someone searches for 20 by 9.5 Mustang wheels or Carroll Shelby wheels or Flowform Mustang wheel, Google matches that query to your feed data. Not your ad copy, not your brand story, not your budget. Your data. Clean data means better matching. Clean data is lower CPC. Clean data is higher visibility. Clean data is profitable scaling. This is where you win or lose. So here's the truth. Most retailers publish the exact same Shelby wheel data, but the ones who enrich it, rewrite the titles, add attributes, modernize images, strengthen descriptions, outrank everyone else selling the same wheel. Not because they spent more, because they fed Google better information. And that's the shift you're working towards in this series. Now, that you have seen the full journey from supplier load sheet to store, to feed, to merchant center, to Google ads, you're ready for the part that flips every e-commerce assumption on its head. Because after following CS11 wheel through its pipeline, you realize you're not really in the business of selling wheels. You're in the business of publishing data about wheels. Once that clicks, everything about how you operate changes. Think back on the pipeline we just walked through. Supplier creates data, distributors pass it downstream, you inherited, your store imports it, your feed exports it, merchant center validates it, Google Ads depends on it, and shoppers discover products because of it. Notice something? At no point did Google ever see the wheel. Not the metal, not the machining, not the finish. Google only sees your data about the wheel, not the wheel itself. To Google, the CS11 isn't a physical product. It's a bundle of attributes, text fields, and identifiers. And that's the game you are playing. Earlier, I mentioned that almost everyone uses the exact same supplier data. Now, let's look directly at what that means. Most e-commerce aftermarket retailers just publish the same product title, the same generic description, the same attributes, the same photos, the same incomplete fitment, the same formatting, the same mistakes. So Google ends up looking at 10 copies of the same listing and asking one simple question: who do I trust? And here's how the machine decides. It picks the retailer with the cleanest data, the most complete record, the fewest errors, and the strongest data consistency over time. Everyone else, widely suppressed, not penalized, not punished, just dialed down. This isn't favoritism, it's machine logic. And this is why Google Shopping and PMax performance varies widely between retailers selling exact same catalog. Now, if you take that supplier data and actually improve it, you create that automatic competitive advantage. Small enhancements such as cleaner titles, richer attributes, stronger descriptions, better fitment context make Google trust you more, because Google isn't comparing you to your own expectations. It's comparing you to every other store selling the same wheel. If your data is clearer, cleaner, and more complete, Google rewards you with visibility and penalizes competitors for being lazy. This isn't a hack. This is reality. And if you're watching this and thinking, all right, it all makes sense, but how healthy is my feed? Where are my gaps? How do I fix this? We offer a Scoop game plan specifically for e-commerce leaders. You'll walk away with a clear strategic snapshot of your product data foundation, your shopping plus PMax structure, and your biggest opportunities for growth. It's built for decision makers, not ad buyers. The link is in the below. For years, e-commerce has told you success comes from creative, budget, audiences, bidding, or whatever shiny new tool Google releases this quarter. But after managing over $100 million in direct response ad spend, here's what we have seen again and again. The best performing retailers aren't the loudest. They are the clearest. And Google isn't rewarding your brand. It's rewarding the clarity of how you encode reality into structured data. And once you understand that, everything changes. Your job isn't to upload products. Your job is to publish clean, complete, enriched product data machines can understand. And that's the real business that you're in. And the faster you embrace that identity shift, and the faster everything else gets easier. It's funny, when I immigrated to the US at 16, I didn't think my future would revolve around fitment tables, AC's attributes, and debugging GTN issues. But here we are. Turns out the American dream also includes cleaning up product data manufacturers created in Excel 15 years ago. Here's the good news. Once you understand your data publisher first, everything becomes clear. What to prioritize, why your ads fluctuate, how to scale visibly, which competitors will quietly collapse, and which ones will build a real moat. And that brings us to the final step of this episode, the new essential skills for e-commerce. That is data fluency. Not coding, not engineering, not AI wizardry, just understanding how structured data behind your catalog drives revenue in front of it. So here we are. We followed the entire journey of one wheel, the CS11, traveling from the supplier load sheet to your store, to your product feed, into Merchant Center, into a shopping ad, and finally into the customer's hands. And after walking that path, one thing's become painfully obvious. The brands who win online aren't just great marketers. They are fluent in their data. Not data scientists, not coders, just fluent in the things that actually move the revenue. And let's break that down. Data fluency means you understand instinctively why missing G10 destroys visibility, why duplicate titles make you invisible, why generic supplier descriptions get ignored, why clean fitment sharpens your targeting, why richer attributes improve matching, why your feed is the backbone of PMax and shopping, and why Merchant Center warnings matter. And finally, why consistency beats more budget every single time. This isn't technical, it's operational intelligence. It's the modern version of knowing your parts catalog, except instead of flipping through binders, you're managing attributes, identifiers, and structured data. This is exactly why our analytics philosophy at Scoob is simple: clarity over complexity. You don't need 40 dashboards. You don't need a PhD in ROAS. You don't need a guess what's working this week. You need to understand where revenue is coming from, where is it leaking, which data issues are blocking visibility, which SKUs deserve more budget, and which SKUs need more cleanup, what your margin tiers are, and what your feed quality actually looks like. And this is the foundation of profitable scaling. That's why our team has managed over $100 million in direct response ad spend without losing our minds, because we don't chase trends. We don't chase hacks. We don't chase whatever AI tactic LinkedIn is screaming about this month. We fix data, we fix structure, we fix visibility. And once those three things are solid, scaling becomes predictable, not emotional. The automotive aftermarket is one of the most complex catalogs in all of the e-commerce. If you can handle the data, the fitment, the attributes, the AC spice schemas, the messy load sheets, the PIM inconsistencies, you create a moat. Because here's the truth: complexity kills amateurs and it compounds for the pros. And most retailers treat data as a chore, but the winners treat data as an asset. And the more you refine it, the more Google trusts you, the faster you scale. And this right here is the skill modern e-commerce requires. Not loud marketing, not bigger budgets, just the ability to understand the structured data that your entire revenue sits on. So that's the foundation. Just understanding how data flows through your business is enough to rethink your entire advertising strategy. But if you want to level up, the next episode is a big one. Why your ads don't matter if your feed sucks. Because once you understand the pipeline, you need to understand why your feed dominates modern ad performance and how to fix it. Watch that next. And if you want to go deeper, if you want help cleaning your data catalog, fixing Merchant Center issues, or building scalable shopping and PMax strategy, you can book a free discovery call with my team. We work with aftermarket brands every day. We don't do gimmicks. We don't do shortcuts. We build systems that scale profitably. The link is in the description, and I'll see you in the next episode.